Hello and welcome to ITV News West Country with David and Kylie.
Thank you for joining us. The headlines this Monday evening. Police want help to identify this man after a serious sexual assault on a young woman on a beach in Newquay.
Also tonight, the questions of who knew what when about the discovery of the Legionella bacteria on board the Bibby Stockholm in Portland.
It's just now turned into a big blame game. Nobody seems to be taking any responsibility for what is turning into a massive big white elephant.
Plus, on board the antique Dutch ship in Plymouth, preparing to sail with 200 young conservationists.
And we join the party in Somerset as the UK's first discount outlet celebrates its 30th birthday.
Good evening. Devon and Cornwall Police want to speak to a man who was at this weekend's Boardmasters Festival after a serious sexual assault on an 18-year-old woman in Newquay.
They've released CCTV images of the man in connection with the incident, which occurred on Town Beach. Well, our reporter Charlotte Gay is live in Newquay for us tonight. Charlotte, what more do we know about this?
Yes, well, that young woman was attacked here at Town Beach, and as you can see, it is a very, very short walk from the centre of Newquay. Lots of pubs and bars very close to this beach here. It happened in the early hours of Sunday morning between 1:45 and 2:20. Officers have found CCTV images which they have shared with us today of a young man they are looking to question. You can see it's quite distinctive to see what he looks like, and he's wearing quite a recognisable pattern top, and they're hoping that seeing these pictures will jog anyone's memory who was in Newquay here on Saturday night into Sunday morning, whether they saw this man. We don't know yet whether he was attending the Boardmasters Festival, but he did catch a bus up to the site at 2:30 in the morning. Now, festival organisers say although the assault didn't happen on their festival site, they have shared that image that the police gave them with their on-site team and have been vigilant looking out for the young man they're looking to speak to. They have had 50,000 people here at the Boardmasters Festival this weekend. They have been, even before the festival, proactive sharing consent workshops and working with the school's consent project to teach young people in Cornwall and the wider southwest. So police are just urging anyone who has seen that image to get in touch if they have any useful information about the man they're looking to speak to.
Charlotte, thank you. Next tonight, submerged Home Office contractors were told about traces of Legionella bacteria on board the Bibby Stockholm on the day asylum seekers were moved onto the barge.
Now, according to Dorset Council, the operators of the floating accommodation were alerted to test results last Monday, but the 39 people on board were not taken off until Friday.
Well, for more on this, Louisa Britton is on Portland Live for us this evening. So, Louisa, there seems to be some dispute over the timeline of events.
Yes, that's right. Currently, there are no asylum seekers on board the Bibby Stockholm, and it's understood, ITV understands, that the 39 people who were on board as late as Friday are now at a location in Devon. Now, we've been told by some of them who were on board that they weren't alerted to any issues until Friday evening, as late as 6 o'clock in the evening. And some of them were alerted through reports on the news, and another by talking to a charity. They also said that they weren't given any advice to avoid using the showers or drinking any of the water on board. So the government today has come under fire over how long it took for them to respond to those test results, which showed the Legionella bacteria was present in the water supply. Dorset Council say that they were made aware of the preliminary test results on the 7th of August. That's Monday. That's the same day that asylum seekers were first brought onto the barge. Dorset Council say that they then told Home Office contractors operating the barge of the test results, but it's taken ministers much more time to be made aware of those results.
Well, ministers were informed on Thursday evening and took urgent action on a precautionary basis. But it is right that we focus on the high cost of hotels. It's costing the British taxpayer £6 million a day. That is far too high. So that's why we're exploring options such as the barges, but we're doing so in a way that retains safety. So it's normal to have these checks. As soon as information came to ministers on a precautionary basis, action was taken.
Well, here on Portland, there's been anger and frustration about the barge since the plans for the Bibby Stockholm first came about. And speaking to people here today, the events of the last few days have only seemed to heighten that discontent.
It's just yet another example of the catastrophic errors that are just ongoing with this ridiculous decision to plonk a barge in the middle of Portland Port. It's just now turned into a big blame game. Who's responsible? And again, it's the responsibility of this barge that we're more concerned about. Nobody seems to be taking any responsibility for what is turning into a massive big white elephant.
Well, speaking to Steve Barclay, he said that the intention is to bring those 39 asylum seekers back to the barge, but he wasn't very specific about the time frame. He just said in the coming weeks. And the intention overall and the plans overall from the government is to house more than 500 asylum seekers on the Bibby Stockholm. But today, questions still very much remain as to how long it's taken ministers to respond to those test results and take action.
Louisa, thank you.
Now, next tonight, deaf people across the West Country are struggling to access basic services like a dentist or opticians because of a shortage of skilled British Sign Language interpreters.
Well, across the UK, there is only one interpreter for every 53 deaf people, meaning that demand far outstrips supply. Catherine Walker has been investigating.
14-year-old Lucy was born deaf and uses British Sign Language. Under the law, she should be given access to an interpreter, especially when it comes to her health or education. But at a recent trip to A&E, she was told one wasn't available.
It has a big knock-on effect on my confidence, and it makes you feel quite alone and quite sad and angry and just stressed when you go to things and kind of worry about it. Going to appointments and things, don't understand what people are saying to me, there's no communication there. So it's really, really hard.
Mum Lindsay says it's a reoccurring problem.
You can't book an appointment for Lucy and then be kind of at ease with going to that appointment and knowing full well that that interpreter's going to be there 100%. It takes a lot of phoning up for me or, emailing back and forth. She shouldn't have to fight to have her information about herself in her language.
The latest figures show that BSL is the first language of over 1,700 people in the South West and 87,000 deaf people across the UK. But on average, there's only one interpreter for every 53 deaf people, meaning demand far outstrips supply.
Having a skilled, qualified, registered interpreter in the room achieves inclusion. They're able to have a voice, be empowered, be an independent citizen in that moment. We need to have more sign language interpreters who represent the communities that they are engaging with.
Addressing this shortage is a priority for the British Deaf Association. But there's no quick fix, as training new interpreters takes around 7 years.
I think the government are not doing enough. They could do much more. We believe that first they need statutory regulation. So regulation of the industry would mean the interpreter quality will increase. Secondly, the government needs to invest more in interpreters as well, but also more into teachers to teach people to become interpreters. That is paramount and should be a priority.
In a statement, the government told ITV News they have set up an advisory board to work out how they can increase the number of qualified BSL interpreters.
Yeah, can you make sure that interpreter is booked for the session, please? Thank you, yeah.
But until there's a strategy in place, Lucy and her mum say they won't stop fighting for her basic rights to be met. Catherine Walker, ITV News.
All right, you're watching Monday's ITV News across the West Country with Kylie and David. We have plenty more still ahead this half hour, including we'll have a roundup of the weekend's sport with a chat with the Tiverton player who scored this wonder goal.
And we see how the UK's first discount outlet continues to succeed in Somerset as it celebrates entering its third decade. But next, more than £150 million is yet to be claimed from child trust funds held by 18 to 20-year-olds here in the southwest.
There are also concerns that parents trying to access the savings accounts because their children are unable to are facing expensive legal battles. Nick Smith has more.
The Child Trust Fund is a tax-free savings and investment account for all children in the UK born between the 1st of September 2002 and the 2nd of January 2011. It included an initial payment of £250 or £500 in each account from the government, and they could be topped up with additional payments from family or friends. The money in the account belongs to the child, and only they can withdraw it once they turn 18. And the latest figures from HMRC claim the average child trust fund is now worth £2,100. But there's concern that vast numbers of accounts are so far going unclaimed. In the southwest, it's thought to be as high as 40%.
For a family from disadvantaged backgrounds, low-income backgrounds, they would typically receive £1,000 in government money, and that was all invested in the stock market, and it's put on good progress over the years. It is generally worth about £2,000 now. This is money which was set aside to help young people to achieve their potential in life.
But children with learning difficulties who need their parents or guardians to be responsible for their finances face an uphill battle to access their trust fund. Ryan Cook is 14. He has autism and a learning disability. His mother Maria wants to take control of his account when he turns 18, but discovered that she may have to pay thousands to do so.
If we could actually have that money that actually he is entitled to, we would be able to use it to buy something for him that's going to benefit him for an educational purpose or from a physical and emotional well-being, such as a new iPad, because he uses that all the time for education. The only way that we can access it is to go through the court of protection, and that comes at such a high cost. We have realised ourselves that there is a huge problem, and it is affecting hundreds of thousands of people and going into millions and millions of pounds.
The Public Accounts Committee has accused HMRC of failing to plan accordingly for a low uptake of child trust funds or anticipate barriers some individuals may encounter.
So we're doing a lot of work to try and educate people as to what they need to do so they can start sooner and try and take some of the pain out of the system. We've also done a lot of work with the Court of Protection to streamline the service to try and make it as user-friendly as possible. Sadly, it is a legalistic system designed to protect vulnerable young adults, and so it's never going to be easy.
It may only apply to a limited cohort, but the Child Trust Fund scheme still has more than £1 billion set aside to give young people a leg up in life. But unfortunately for some, it's still proving harder to reach than others. Nick Smith, ITV News.
It is 13 minutes past 6. The ITV News continues with the national and international headlines at 6:30. Gamal Farnbler has the details.
Devastation in Maui, a paradise turned living nightmare. Close to 100 have been killed, with the number expected to increase significantly. Almost 1,000 people are still unaccounted for. Why proposals to scrap some wait time targets for cancer treatments are being described as deeply worrying. Caught on camera, Network Rail's warning to those risking their lives misusing level crossings. And the new generation of naturalists set to retrace the voyage of Charles Darwin 200 years on. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, we can bring you more on that story now, because that spectacular tool ship that Gamal just mentioned is moored in Plymouth this evening, preparing for a 2-year voyage around the world.
Yes, the Oosterschelde is going to retrace the voyage made by Charles Darwin on HMS Beagle nearly 200 years ago. Of course, a voyage famous because that is when Darwin first developed his ideas around the theory of evolution. And joining in this voyage will be young conservationists from around the world carrying out environmental research. We sent Claire Manning on board to find out more.
You don't even have to have any knowledge of sailing to appreciate the craftsmanship of this antique tall ship. And tomorrow, this restored Dutch schooner will begin retracing the route taken by another historic ship nearly 200 years ago.
Over 2 years, the spectacular tall ship Oosterschelde will voyage around the world, following in Charles Darwin's footsteps.
Oosterschelde, I hope I've mastered my Dutch accent there, will sail the same route as Charles Darwin did on HMS Beagle in 1831. 200 young conservationists from 200 countries will join this ship in locations Darwin also examined species, noting their changes over those 2 centuries.
So the ship is very much a symbol. These beautiful historic tour ships just resonate adventure. As you've seen today, people are, and particularly kids, are queuing up and wanting to know what it's about. Is it a pirate ship? Is it an explorer ship? And it's a magnet for interest. So that's why we're using a beautiful historic tour ship.
And so why set sail from Plymouth? Well, it was nearly 200 years ago. A young, fresh-faced Charles Darwin, he was just 22 years old, set sail from this city on HMS Beagle. And we know that it was during that trip he went on to develop one of the most important theories in the history of science. But you know, Darwin nearly didn't make it on board Beagle. The captain at the time, Robert Fitzroy, said he doubted Darwin's determination and, believe it or not, his intelligence.
This project is still selecting conservationists aged between 18 and 25 to join them. But this isn't just about them. Throughout the voyage, free lectures and experiments will be broadcast from on board, which anyone can access through their website. Darwin 200 says it wants to include people across the world with this venture of conservation.
It's connecting people with the ocean, which is such an important thing because the ocean needs our help and it needs everyone's help. It needs global thinking and it needs global solutions. So by connecting all of these people from all around the world, it's really, really going to make some positive steps for the health of our ocean.
But none of this sailing would happen, of course, without a captain. I asked the Dutch captain of this schooner how he felt to be retracing the navigational footsteps of the captain of HMS Beagle 2 centuries ago.
You can't compare it. To be honest, these people, they had so little knowledge. He had to draft his own charts. I mean, and we have all these charts, we have all these modern means of navigation. So in many ways, it's much easier than it was in those days.
Tomorrow, this ship sets sail for the Canary Islands. 200 years later, you can only wonder what a young 22-year-old Charles Darwin would have made of this. Claire Manning, ITV News, Plymouth.
This unique global voyage.
That will be an adventure.
Yeah, a whopping adventure. The captain seems very calm. I'm sure obviously he knows what he's doing. It's what you want, but that's a long trip with a lot of people on board and a lot of ropes to go wrong.
You know what I was most impressed by?
Go on.
Your pronunciation of the ship. Can you do it again?
The Oosterschelde, which I hope is right.
Like
if I got it wrong, I suppose they're going away for 2 years before they come back and correct me.
Yeah, they won't come back on you.
All right, let's turn our attention now to the weekend sport as both Plymouth Argyle and Exeter City continued their good starts to the season.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
And Ross has joined us in the studio, as you can see. So let's start with Argyle, shall we? And encouraging start, would you say, to the championship?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I mean, before the season started, a lot of people probably looking at the division had them as one of the favourites maybe to go back down to League One. Doesn't look like it's going to be that way. They've started so well this weekend. A trip to London for the Green Army to play Watford after their win last weekend against Huddersfield. This was going to be a tough test. They had some chances and kept a clean sheet thanks to some brilliant defending and goalkeeping. It means that they remain unbeaten in their first 3 matches this season, including the Cup. Next up, though, another really tough test, Southampton on Saturday. And I think that really just goes to show how far this team have come over recent years, doesn't it? Playing teams like Watford and Southampton, both of whom obviously are Premier League teams. Now, away from the Championship, if we go into League One, Exeter City, you mentioned it, another fantastic start for them. Similar to Argyle, many probably tipping them for a relegation battle this year as well, but they have had a fantastic start. Fans would probably have been very happy with Saturday as well. They welcomed Blackpool. Gary Caldwell's side obviously coming off the back of that great win away at Wycombe on the first day. Their opponents this week, though, coming back into the division from the Championship. They played very well indeed, had some good chances, and Gary Colwell, the manager, said after the game he felt like they'd done enough and said he felt like it was going to be their day. Not to be, though, but a good start, and like Argyle, an unbeaten start to the campaign.
Ross, I want a goal. We've not seen any goals so far. I think you may have found one, though.
I have, yeah, and it is an absolute corker. It's worth the wait, this one. Let's take a look at this goal, scored from Tiverton Town by Matt Britton, a truly phenomenal strike. It was in the Southern League in their match, a bicycle kick from a corner. Doesn't get much better than that. What makes it even more unbelievable, though, is that he's actually a defender. So I spoke to him earlier on about it, and he had this to say.
As soon as it happened, I was, a bit shocked, I'll be honest. Caught it so sweet. I just felt it straight away. One of our photographers actually got a couple of photos of it. She sent me them, but I was hoping someone had it on video, which luckily they did. A couple of the young lads said it's the best goal they've ever seen live. One of the lads said he got a flick on it on the line. So he was trying to claim it off me, but I said, you ain't having that, mate.
You know, I was just about to say, I bet he was glad that was filmed.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd be devastated, wouldn't you? I've never scored a goal like that. If I had, I could just say I haven't. It's not been filmed. Actually,
are you going to film every goal now you try and do? Someone on the sidelines just in case?
I don't score many, so
okay.
I think it would
I'm glad you
be
said that rather than us
but,
pointing.
Yeah, unbelievable strike.
Brilliant stuff. Ross, thank you very much. Now, how about this? A team of 4 rowers from Devon and Somerset has completed a 550 nautical mile row across the Arctic Ocean. So they've broken 5 world records in the process, as well as raising money for the YMCA. Next, during their 15 days at sea, they battled freezing temperatures and storms.
We were battered fairly hard. We had 30-foot swells. We had, I would say, 15-foot waves going over the top and a 39.7 mile an hour wind out at sea. It was a roller coaster for a fair period of time.
Wow.
Yeah, brilliant. Well done to them.
Now, Clark's Village in Somerset is celebrating its 30th birthday today. The site in Street is thought to be the first discount outlet in the country.
Now, yes, from the shell suits of the 90s, remember them?
Oh, yeah.
To the baggy jeans of the noughties. Apparently, customers continue to head there despite the growth of other shopping centres and, of course, the internet. Well, our correspondent Ben McGrail has been looking at why it's been so successful.
There was a party atmosphere at Clark's Village today, and rightly so. It's 30 years to the day since this place opened. And for some, Clark's shoes, which is synonymous with street, and the steady stream of thousands of people who visit here have been a huge part of their lives.
Hi, I'm Brian. I left school at 15-year-old and I joined C&J Clark's at Street on September the 1st, 1953. I've been here for many, many years. I'm still here now. On September the 1st next month, I'm 85.
85?
85.
And no intention of retiring?
No. I'm going to carry on now. I mean, if David Attenborough can carry on his 90s, I'm going to do the same. So I'm going to carry on and carry on and carry on, as long as I can, because I love what I'm doing.
Hello, my name is Elaine. I have been in Clark's Village since the day it opened, 30 years, and I currently manage the Calvin Klein store.
What's kept you here so long?
People. And the customers. I think, people I've worked with have been amazing, the centre staff are amazing, and the customers are what makes it for me.
Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm the Centre Operations Manager here. I joined the team 2012, but I've been at Clark's Village from 2007. Well, for me, it's just a personal connection to the village. I'm born and raised in Street. My paternal grandparents worked at Clark's for their whole career, and I feel like I owe something to Clark's Village. Started it at 17. It's helped me out in my career, put me where I am today, and ultimately I want to see the best for Clark's Village and the village of Street in the area, to do the best we can, put us on the map.
This is one of Somerset's commercial successes of the 1990s.
It was 1993 that Clark's Village opened, bringing outlet shopping to Britain for the first time, with discount prices from big brands. 30 years on, many of those famous retailers have been here for much of that time, and intend for it to stay that way.
I think there's a huge element of pride. It's an amazing achievement, and we're already sort of working on next year's plans and the year after that as well. So the brands are incredibly excited about the future, as well as kind of appreciating the past as well.
Well, shopping has changed a lot since 1993, hasn't it? But as you can see from people around me, destination shopping is still very important to them, especially on a wet and windy day like this. And Clarks Village will be hoping after 30 years that's the case for many more to come. Ben McGrail, ITV News, Street.
You know what's nice about hearing some of those people who work there speak is that it's really a family to them, isn't it? You know, that guy's paternal grandparents had worked in Clarks and yeah,
admiring that
up to
history
date.
as well. Yeah, and obviously lots of people on their summer holidays getting the shopping in today. But Ben said the weather wasn't great. What about the days ahead? James has the forecast.
Whatever the weather, it always feels like home. Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV West Country weather.
Hello there, good evening. We started the week with a bit of low pressure around. That's brought some unsettled weather. That's moving away, and really for much of the week we're looking at something more settled and increasingly warm. You can see the colours changing to a red, but as we go into the weekend, more low pressure lurking to the north and west of us. That's pretty reminiscent of the last 5 or 6 weekends. Now this evening, 1 or 2 showers desperately trying to hold on, but essentially a dry night, a mixture of clear spells, and then we start to see a bit of murk moving in towards the end of the night. It's going to make it quite mild and muggy. We're looking at lows of 12 to 15 Celsius. We're starting to lose the breeze, and that's significant for tomorrow because once we get shot of the murk, things brightening up quite nicely. Some good bright and sunny spells out there. Yes, that's set to trigger off a few showers, but they're going to be fairly well scattered. And because of the lighter breeze, a bit of sunshine, meaning it should be a touch warmer than today, at highs of around 21 or 22 Celsius. Now it looks as though we'll start to see fresher air moving in. It should be a drier start, a clearer start to the day on Wednesday. As a result, not much of a breeze at all, so 23, 24 Celsius, feeling pleasantly warm in the sunshine. As we get towards Thursday, we start to inherit a bit more of a southeasterly, and as a result, across the northern coast of Devon and Cornwall, I think we could get up to around 25 Celsius in a bit of shelter, particularly if we hold on to the sunshine. You can see something lurking out towards the back there. It means that Friday set to be a bit cloudy, a few showers to start the day, and then the next bundle of wet weather to spoil the weekend.
Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV West Country weather.
James, thanks very much. Now, just time to let you know about a story on our website. Cornish surfing legend Ben Skinner and his 15-year-old son Lucas have high hopes of competing at the 2028 Olympics together.
They make it look easy, don't they? As surfing takes its place as an Olympic sport, we'll focus on the history of surfing and its relationship to us in the West Country. All of that and a whole lot more, as you know, on itv.com/West Country. Well worth a visit tonight. But that is it from the two of us. I'll have the late headlines at 10:30.
And after the break, the ITV News continues with Gamal. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.